So theology of the body, it is a contemporary vision for life, offering a new lens. We talked about the TOB lens and everything. Our vision will be changing. Everything will change when we look at the other person. When we look at the other person, when we look at the world, look at our faith, everything changes there. So that is what we were talking about, the TOB lens. And everything, it's a sacramental world view, we said. Then we have,
why did God gave us a body?
Yeah, why did God give us a body? So we found the answer. Why did God give us a body?
Because we can
because
we cannot see him directly.
We cannot see God, but we can
image
see
of God. We are image of
our
God.
body. The human body is revealing God himself. Because which was the foundational Bible verses I was quoting here? From Genesis?
Genesis
1:27.
27.
Yeah.
So what does it say?
God
created mankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them.
Male and female, he created
them. Okay. So our body reveals God. God gave us the body so that we can reveal him. We can reveal him. But for certain reasons, in our own life situations, we are weak, we are broken, we are in the historical stage. Though Christ has redeemed us, we are still struggling. So everything, the truth is distorted. The truth in us, the truth around us, everything is distorted because of the sin, the impact of the sin. Though Christ has redeemed us, we are still in the struggling period. And the grace is with us so that we have the victory with Christ. So all these things we have been seeing in the last session. Very good. You remember very well. So today we are going to see what exactly is sex according to the Catholic Church. So we have a lot of ideas about sex and sexuality, and we heard a lot of things. We have a lot of blueprints in our mind of when we hear even the word sex. So we are going to make it very clear what exactly is the meaning when we speak from the view of the Catholic Church. So now today's session, it's very dense. I'm going to give you very strong foundational concepts today. And we will be unpacking those concepts in coming some maybe 3, 4, 5 sessions. It will be continuously some of the dense concept we will be unpacking and diluting it and making it easy to understand. So I try to make it as much as easy as possible. And again, I just wanted to tell you, when we are talking about theology of the body, sometimes my sessions, people will be thinking, I'm not exactly, I mentioned this, I'm not exactly quoting from, taking everything from here, I'm taking the basic concepts from here. The main theme I am taking from there, and I am connecting that to the teachings of the Catholic Church, starting from the Second Vatican Council. So we are going and I'm just spreading it everywhere, and also the Holy Fathers, the Church Fathers.
Sorry.
The Church Fathers, what they are talking, what is the Catechism of the Catholic Church is talking, how we can connect and link that to our day-to-day life. And also it's focusing mainly on biblical, because all the CCC, the church teaching, everything is mainly focused on the Bible. even theology of the body itself, more than 1,000 biblical verses he is taking and analyzing in theology of the body. But when you go through this book, that's why sometimes, this you need to be very clear. When you go through the original book, you may not see any CCC references because CCC was not there at that time. At that time, there was no Catechism of the Catholic Church when this was written. So that's why I just wanted to make it very clear about it. So let's go with what exactly is sex. Okay, you're all teachers, elders, family, and there is nothing like, I need to ask you questions about it. But let me ask you this question. Are we comfortable enough to use the word sex, even publicly or with our children or with our catechism students or in the church or in the places where we need to? So let us be very interactive, okay? You can all unmute and all can say together, no problem.
There's some taboo.
Think about this. We are reflecting on ourselves. Are we really comfortable to use this word sex? And many of your catechism teachers, I am asking this question. Are you very comfortable to tell sex about using the word very often in your classes?
Not really.
That's why. Again, this is a spiritual journey, okay? Why? Let us think that. Why? Because something, the moment you hear the word sex, something is happening in the backdrop, the background there. Because there are a lot of ideas which you got about sex is rolling there, it's moving there. Like a movie, it is like a video, visual is going on there. And let me ask you, when you hear the word sex, what kind of thoughts are coming to your mind? Just hearing the word. Suppose somebody is talking sex. What kind of thoughts will be coming to your mind? I am asking this question, making you to analyze. Unless you are very comfortable, you won't be able to talk about this to others. And this is very much relevant and needed topic. At the end of this session, maybe 1 or 2 sessions, I will be asking some of you to take classes. Maybe one day I will give you presentation, giving you some questions. You have to take classes on sex, the Catholic vision about sex. So you have to be very, very comfortable with that. So let's come back. When we hear this word, what is happening? Why we are not very comfortable? In our own homes, we don't talk about sex publicly, loudly. Why? We talk about so many other things. Why we don't talk about sex at all?
Because we think that that's something for adults, so we don't want to hear that for the children. That's what our parents and grandparents tell us. They don't want us to know what is sex. Now, these things are changed. Even kids know everything from online and internet. So I have no problem to talk about sex in the Sunday school. I'm talking about all the time, whenever necessary.
Yeah. So even they will educate you better.
Yes.
So now, what happens? Let me ask you now, before I go, I was not supposed to ask this question now. Now, from where are our children getting the idea about sex?
Probably from friends.
From where? Because you are not teaching, we are not teaching them. Most of the parents, I'm not saying 100% no parents are teaching, Some parents I know, but most of the parents, they are not teaching very clearly about sex. From where are they getting the ideas?
Most of the students, they actually, in the 5th grade, they have a sex education in most of the schools. Public school
From the
system has a
school?
mandatory.
Okay, you have
Yes.
any teacher here? Any teacher who is teaching in a school here? In the group, is there any teacher who is teaching in American school? Talking about school, middle school, or a high school?
No,
From
I
primary
don't
level
think so.
onwards?
No,
No teachers here. Okay.
no. Maybe
You
in the
know,
biology classes, maybe they talk something, but they never talk about.
no, I'm talking about them. Now there are sex education in the school syllabus.
In this
Because
mandatory
when I
for,
take
you know,
classes
6th graders, yeah.
for American teachers, and when I was doing it in Boston and for the American group, so they have shared with me what they are teaching.
Right.
You know what they are teaching? The sex education.
System, they teach, you know,
They're,
so they
they
want to teach.
yeah, they are talking about safe sex, how to use condoms, how to avoid pregnancy, if something happens, what you should do. And there are a lot of other topics, which St. John Paul II, he calls, he said many times, the culture is telling they are teaching the children safe sex, but that is no more safe. It is a dangerous thing they are teaching them. Now, from where the children, they are not getting everything from the school, they are getting elsewhere. Some of you young children are there, or some of you may be knowing easily. You can
Right.
interact.
So something from
Tell me
online
some
or
resources from they are getting. I'm nailing down some problems here, which we need to tackle. And tell me some sources. For example, one source you said from the school, the sex education. What is the other source?
The internet.
Pardon?
Internet.
Internet, of course. Google. When you take classes to children, they will say, if we ask them any question, immediately they are turning on the phone and just trying to Google. Once I ask, what are you doing? I'm just finding the answer, what you asked me. Where? Google. Google knows everything. And those who are technical persons in IT field, you know what Google knows, how Google knows the answer. I don't need to go into the technology of how the answers are, uploaded and posted in Google and who gets the priority and everything. You know better than me. There are so many technical persons here. They get from their peer group, they get from the internet, Google, from other resources, and from the secular culture. There are a lot of things. They are breathing the air from the secular culture. They are breathing. You are not. The parents or what, the CCD 1 hour or the church, we are not controlling them. They are being controlled by the secular culture outside there. And we don't know what is to tell them. When they ask questions, many parents say, they are asking questions we are unable to answer. Many teachers says they are asking question we are unable to answer because we don't know. Helpless situation. So this is what we need to understand. We are nailing down our problem. The problem is with us, not with the culture, not with the children. We don't know the truth. We don't know exactly what it is. We do not know how to teach them and in a very effective way, because the church, the Catholic Church, the church fathers has given us so much valuable and treasure of knowledge through the Holy Spirit. And nobody ever touched it. So that's why we are going to analyze the word sex now. Let's go further. So don't worry about the time. We will stop at 10 o'clock. And if anything is not completed, I'm not in a hurry to finish it off. We will continue it. That will be fine, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Now, this is, if you look at the dictionary, if you look at the dictionary, you will see mainly 3 definitions about sex. This is what? Can you all read? Can you all see this, right? My screen? You are viewing my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we can read.
So the first one is, they are saying, this is the ordinary, this is not Catholic dictionary. This is the Webster dictionary. It's saying, either of the 2 major forms of individual that occur in many species that are distinguished respectively as male or female on the basis of their gender, in other words. Okay. The second one is the state of being male or female. The third definition is, the meaning they are given is, males or females considered as a group. Good. This is what the secular culture is giving us, the meaning of sex. Now then, what happened? Who distorted the idea of sex? Because when we talk about sex, why many of you were silent? Because immediately an activity is coming to, flashing into our mind. That's why we say, hey, that's bad. You should not be talking this in public, especially with our children. Be careful. It's something shame, because when the moment we hear the word sex, is all about an activity. But the secular culture, the pornographic culture, has given us this distorted vision about sex. The Catholic Church accepts the real meaning of sex and use it as a profound way. That is what we are going to see. So let's go into the original root. We saw the dictionary meaning of sex. Let's go into the original root, the Latin word sexus. It also means state of being either male or female gender. Is this part very clear, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
The word
Yes.
sex.
Yes.
But what we understood is the version of the pornographic culture, the secular culture, which is always sexualizing everything, everything, everything. Even an ordinary commercial, advertisement, ordinary picture, everything is sexualizing. So that's why I said our children are breathing this secular culture, and they have tons of questions which nobody can answer correctly. Then finally they go with the secular culture's answer. So now, St. John Paul II says, every human being is by nature a sexual being. We are all sexual beings. There is nothing to be ashamed of saying, I am a sexual being. So hopefully, once we put the TOB lens, there's no shame for us to say, I am a sexual being. So sex is, in other words, state of being male or female, or something we are. Something we are. Now, again, the question may come, then what happens, either not male, all those, sexual, dysphoria, or so many other things, transgenderism. We will be dealing tons of these topics later. So don't get confused now. Let's understand the basic concept here. God created them. What is Genesis 1:27 said?
God created mankind in the image of God.
According to God, there is only
He
male
created
or
and
Male.
female.
female. Only two gender, male or female. He created the male and female. And that is the reason why in Matthew's chapter 19, when Pharisees came and asked, that is, again, I said yesterday, that is the foundation of the theology of the body. When Pharisees came and asked Jesus about marriage, you know, can't we divorce our wife for some reason? Then they wanted to put him in trouble and bringing back the Moses law, saying that for so and so reasons, you can just give a write-up and then you can divorce. Then Jesus is telling, let's go back, go back and find out in the beginning what God had in his mind when he created the human man. Then he is quoting Genesis 1:27, 1:28, and then finally said, let no man separate what God has joined. Because the Pharisees were very smart, but they couldn't catch him because they are supposed, because Jesus using the quoting from the Old Testament, and they cannot say, yeah, that is wrong. Then why did Moses allow us? Because of the hardness of your heart. You guys, stone-hearted people. Moses wanted to give you a coping, a compromising mechanism, a law saying, okay, you do it. He was fed up of you. You wanted this. Okay, so according to the teaching of the Catholic Church, and if you attend all the sessions, and finally you will understand there is either male or female. All the confusions we see around in today's world, it is all there. I am not saying those confusions are not there, but they are all the effect of the sin. God didn't create any of them. All those confusions are created by human beings. So this is CCC 2393. Can one of you read so that I get little break first here? Read loudly, please.
By creating the human being, man and woman, God gives personal dignity equally to one and the other. Each of them, man and woman, should acknowledge and accept his sexual identity.
This is about the sexual identity. That's very clear. We have to be very clear about it, either man or woman, and we have the full dignity given by God. And all the church teaching, and Pope John Paul II, Pope Benedict, by the way, today is Pope Benedict's birthday, 93rd birthday. Please keep a few seconds. Let's close few seconds and pray for his good health. Thank you. So I'm just quoting from Pope Francis, because many people are quoting Pope Francis saying he is very liberal and is against very loose attitude about faith and everything. You see what he's talking about. This he said in 2016, and this is about the identity crisis, the theory of gender. Let me ask you another question. Okay, wait. This is an interesting question. How many of you are using Facebook? All of you, I believe.
No, I don't have a Facebook.
Okay, how many? The majority uses the Facebook?
I don't have one.
At least you ever use Facebook?
No, me no.
I'm not asking you to log in there now. So you never use Facebook. Okay. I'm not commenting on that. Okay. I use Facebook a lot for evangelization purpose. But let me ask you this question. Those, at least I believe one or two will be using here in the room. How many gender options are there in Facebook?
I think more than 52.
More than?
52.
52.
Mhm.
If you want to sign in now, Facebook,
We'll ask.
you will see only 3 gender options there, male, female. Then you will see
Other.
another one, other. But who said that? 53, 52 something? Who is that?
Tommy, I heard that, when you sign in, actually I heard, but I didn't check it. I heard that
Okay.
they stopped it because of there are
Who is
comments.
that? Tommy?
I heard that
No, I'm just trying to identify who is talking now. I can't see it here.
Oh, yeah, I didn't put my video.
No, you don't need to. I just wanted to say your name, please. Who is talking now?
Yeah, this is me.
Tommy.
Tommy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tommy. Yeah, because
Was Tommy.
I can't see any one of you and I don't have any sign here who is talking and all. That's why I have to ask, because we are a closed classroom. Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Tommy. Now, but a couple of years back, this was not the situation with Facebook, and they had 55, 65. If you try to find out 66 or 70, gender options, you will see there. I usually, in your mobile itself, you can search now Facebook genders. Sometimes you will see 56, 66, 76, up to 86 people I've seen. Now, what happened a few years back, some customers, they came and complained to Facebook saying, you have so many gender options there, but I don't see my gender there. That's become a legal issue if they don't solve it, because that goes against the discrimination one, stuff like that. So they now came with a new solution, and they replied to the customer saying, sorry for the inconvenience, but now this is how you are going to solve this problem. When you sign in, you will see the third option, other. There you can go and type anything as you think your gender should be. So that's how the problem is solved. So now, this is what the gender identity crisis today the world is facing, and Pope Francis is very strongly opposing this and saying this is a kind of a world war against the marriage. They wanted to destroy marriage, and this is an ideological colonization which will destroy, not with weapons but with ideas. So all these things, Pope Francis, I can share with you a lot of documents where the Catholic Church is very openly objecting to all these gender confusions and gender theories which the world is, especially the American and European countries are bringing in. And of course, the underdeveloped countries, they are getting the ideas from them. Okay, now this is again another one he gave in 2016, because why I'm quoting this, because people misunderstand Pope Francis saying he's for all these things, the changes. So he is again saying this ideology of gender today, children are taught even in the school that everyone can choose his or her sex. This is what they are teaching in the school. Why are they teaching this? Because the books are provided by the persons and institutions that give you money. There is a lobbying going on in the world. Money is just throwing millions and millions of dollars being thrown to these organizations which are promoting this idealization. This is what exactly is happening. We need to tell our children the facts, the truth, what is happening around us. This is not something against someone. This is what exactly where the truth is being misused and abused and distorted and giving to our generation, our children. Unfortunately, we keep quiet. We are helpless. We don't do anything, I'm telling you. So this is again, I'm going back to the CCC, where you can see the sexuality, the sexual act, even it affects all aspects of human person. The secular culture is telling only the biological aspect of it. They don't go beyond that. Like we have seen the body. The tragedy of the modern world, as St. John Paul II says, the tragedy is it is considering the human body is just like a biological thing, just like any other consumer product. You can go and buy and you can enjoy it, you can use and throw culture. And same way, the secular culture is teaching us it is just for entertainment, it is just for biological pleasure only. So here, the deep meaning of sexuality, in fact, it is affecting all the aspects of human person, his body, his soul, his spirit, the psychology, everything. And it especially concerns affectivity, the capacity to love, capacity to procreate, and in general way, we can say if this sexual difference was not there, there would not have been an aptitude for forming bonds, for communion with each other, with other persons. Again, we are unfolding, we are unpacking a lot of things. We will be continuing this. If you don't understand anything, doesn't matter. Whatever you understand today, great. That's fine. So again, what exactly is it means? It's saying sexuality by means of which man and woman give themselves to one another through the acts which are properly and exclusively to spouses. It's not simply something biological, but concerns the innermost being of the human person as such. And it is realized in a truly human way only if it is an integral part of the love by which a man and woman commit themselves totally to one another until death. We have seen in the history, people have been those who were in the history. I don't want to mention it because, you know, if this video goes public, I don't want to hurt anyone. We have seen people were using top models in the world, thousands. They themselves said, we had a sexual relation, I had sexual relationship with top models in the world. Not one or two, thousands, thousands. And the person was telling once, I don't know how many people I had the sexual relationship, but still there is a vacuum in me. I'm still lacking something. I'm not finding what exactly I was looking for. That's how the sexual revolution started. The pornography started. People want to get satisfaction. They never get satisfaction. They go again and again and again and again, get addicted, never ends. That destroys them, destroys the human race, the families. So that's why the church is very clearly telling, only if it is with a covenant commitment. So because many times children ask me this question about the living together and everything. We get some time, we may be discussing on those things a little more later. And it's not something which is a trial period. It is not something which you think, okay, just like any consumer product you wanted to buy, you want to try. No, it is only with a total commitment. That is a covenant commitment. If two people, man and woman, they have taken the vows to join together until death, and then it makes the real meaning of it. They can really live out the meaning of it. So it's because it is concerned the innermost being of the human person. It's not on the surface level of the biology. Those who are teachers, those who are psychologists, you know that better. You know that better. And again, according to St. John Paul II, our sexuality is not merely one aspect of the humanity. Rather, our sexuality illuminates the very essence of our humanity as man and woman made in the image of God. Wow. Are you all there? Are you all there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, everyone is there. So
Yeah.
I thought
We are all silent.
I thought, everyone is signed off.
No, we are still there.
So this is what exactly we need to teach our generation about sex and sexuality. We have to unpack this and tell them very clearly. Our catechism classes should have an opportunity to unpack these truths. Our sexuality is not just one part. That's why I said sex is something we are. It is not one part of our gender. Our gender is not something, one part, like any other part of the body. It is what we are. Because how are we identified? How the doctors, the nurses, how when you go for the scanning, a woman is pregnant, how does the doctor say the child is boy or girl?
Look at the reproductive organ.
By testing the blood?
No, look at the reproductive organ.
Yeah. In the scanning, they could see the genetic organ, the gender of the baby. So looking at the gender only, we are identified as boy or girl. And last year something, I heard there are a lot of stories, even in our own country. The opposition party, they wanted to bring the doctors, wanted to, ban the doctor saying he's a boy or girl, because they say the gender, the gender confusion. They say the physical gender, the genetic organ doesn't identify the person as a male or female. We'll have separate the gender identity crisis and theory separately. And they say, the gender spectrum. They say, today you may be a male, tomorrow you can be a female. Today you think like a male, but your genetic organ may be, the gender may be the physical identification they are given as a male organ, but doesn't mean that you have to be a male. Or in the course of time, you may not be a male or female now. In the course of time, you can decide what you exactly want to become. That's exactly what even the gender crisis, I think about 2 years or 3 years back, all this bathroom wars and everything, I think a couple of years back, I was taking class quoting all those things. Many of the schools and many of the places, they wanted the bathroom signs and everything, the male should be able to go. If the male feels I am having, the nature of a woman, so I should be allowed to go to the female, the bathrooms or the lockers and all those, some places you are going on. You must be knowing about in US all these things were happening. Thank God nothing is now heard about. So it is something we are. It is something we are. It is not just something we identify. It is what we are, either male or female, because our body is pointing towards the heart of God who created us. There is a purpose why we have a male body, why we have a female body here. God created that way. There is a purpose. And that is what we need to understand. There is a divine mystery is inscribed in our body when He created us male and female. We are going to unpack that. What is that divine mystery? Maybe in the next session it will be very clear. And that's why St. John Paul II said, our body points towards God who created it. Because we are created in the image and likeness of God. So our body is revealing God through the male body and the female body. There is a mystery revealed there. So that's what, that is 9:45. I put an alarm so that I get a warning. That's fine. So the sexual urge as created by God was given to us as a love instinct that leads to life. But when it is cut off from source of love and life, that is God, it tends to become a lust instinct that leads to death. St. John Paul II said, we are living in a culture of death. This is what exactly. Because the sexual urge which is given to each one of us, individuals, we should tell our children the sexual urge is a gift from God. It is not a burden. It is not something you should, feel bad about. It is a gift. It is a gift of love instinct, which is inscribed in our body, which is stamped in our body when He created us male and female. And but the secular culture is telling, you're feeling, that means you are feeling towards someone, try to use that person. Lust, instinct, that will lead to death. And again, after so many sessions, we have a session called, this year I made that session, the anatomy of sexual attraction, the anatomy of friendship and everything coming. There I'll be explaining more on the sexual urge. So it taps into the most powerful drives and desires of the human heart. It is true. As the children are growing, it is not just the hormonal imbalance. It is something more than that. Of course, the hormonal changes, the bodily changes. Everything is designed by the divine architect. And there will be a lot of sexual powerful drives and desires. And depending on how they are directed, and these drives are just like the power of the fuel of a rocket. When Christopher West takes class, he says, it is just like the fuel of a rocket. The rocket cannot be launched without this fuel burning there. And then how we are directing them. That is very important. It has the great power to take us towards there, to the good, or it can take us to the culture of death. So that's how we talk about that. So the human life, its dignity and its balance depends on every moment of the history. This TOB is from St. John Paul II, I am quoting it. Every moment of history and at every point on the globe on the proper ordering of love between the sexes. Wow, this is awesome. The human life, the human dignity and balance, the society, the family, everything is depending in the world in the proper ordering of love between the sexes, between the male and female. Now, if you go deeper into this, as we go deeper, you will understand it. Now it may look little hard for you. Don't worry. What is it? I'll just give an example. See the sexual attitudes and behaviors, then have the power to orient not only the individuals, the entire nations, the societies, everything towards the human dignity. If the human dignity is zero in today's culture, if the human person is just considered as a consumeric product, you can use and throw for your gratification everything. That is not only the individual, even in families, in societies, because individuals makes families, families from their good societies, uh, nations, good nations, the world. Everything depends on our sexual attitudes and behavior. It has the power. I'll just give an example, then we will wind up. I will come to and many of you, I think all of you are pro-life. We don't promote abortion. Just I wanted to tell you this one. Okay. So many world nations have legalized it. You know, when in US the abortion is legalized, the abortion was legalized when in US?
1977.
Let our general knowledge increase, because we are going to
1977.
When?
1977.
1973.
73. Okay.
Yeah. India legalized it even before that. Okay, now that's not my point. I'm just looking at the data here, the WHO, though there are some controversies going on with COVID and other things, the WHO is supposed to be a reliable resource. So every year in the world, there are about 40 to 50 million abortions. This is about the medical and surgical abortions. When the chemical abortions are not included in this, some of the experts, the pharmacists are saying that again is adding up to 10 to 14 million. This is all over the world, okay? We are not including that here. So this corresponds to approximately 125,000 abortions per day. See how the nations, their attitude towards life, about the human life, about the relationship between man and woman, about the sexuality and sexual relationship, it decides the death of 125,000 abortions per day. And unfortunately, the COVID-19 all over the world now, 140,000 nearly death took place. I'm not comparing that. I'm just saying in a normal way, 125,000 children are being killed in the name of abortion. because the nations have legalized it. The attitude of the nation. It is formed by the attitude of the individuals. I want pleasure, that's it, nothing else. Sex is for pleasure, for entertainment. That's it, nothing more than that. I have the freedom. So that formed the society and even the nations, the legalized nations, or any nation is being controlled that way. That means 5,209 per hour, 87 per minute, 3 abortions every 2 seconds is happening around the world. I just wanted to give the example how our attitude can be very dangerous. Now, abortions worldwide this year, 12 million. This is more than that. Actually, I collected this data from the Worldometer yesterday, and today I didn't update it. It's a kind of warning I'm getting again. Okay. I'm just saying, if we don't know the real truth, if we don't guide the generation to the real truth, because the church is the only organization who is speaking so much about sex and sexuality. No other institution in the world gives so much depth about it. That is why they don't like the Catholic Church. They don't like people, they don't like the Catholic Church. They always say the truth. Oh, this is the abortion in US. This is just for your information. See the culture, the people, my uterus, my rules. These are all some pictures from some kind of, demos and other things people have been. Abortion is a human right. And see what is happening in total number of abortions since 1973 till 2018, 61.8 million plus. Again, the chemical ones you have to add. This is in the case of US. So this is what I wanted to tell you, that we should have the passion. Theology of the body is not just for enriching something, you want to know something. We should have the passion to know the truth and tell the truth. Teach at least in our own circumstances, our own children, our own situations. If you have a responsibility of a catechism or CCD or wherever it is, or youth group, we have to enrich them. We have to tell them the truth. We don't want our children to be misguided by the secular ideas about sex and sexuality. So I think I will just pause here if you have some questions, because this will continue for a couple of weeks. So next week will be the continuation of this. So any questions or anything you have on today's session, I just wanted to pause it here.